everyone, a little bit of a different episode today. I know there's a lot of crazy stuff in the news right now, but the big media networks are like all over it. But they have been mostly silent on what's happening over at Evergreen State College in Washington, and this story is just so huge and ridiculous that it's gonna need the whole video anyways. Basically, if you haven't heard, the school has been taken over by a student mob demanding an end to homework, free gumbo, and police disarmament. As of yesterday, the campus has been closed and evacuated because of an unnamed threat. School officials say they don't have any information as to whether the events are connected, but come on! First thing you need to know about this school is that every year they have something called the Day of Absence. The Day of Absence was started up in the 1970s, and traditionally, Black students would spend a day together doing grassroots collective action activities off campus, while white students and faculty members could take note on how these men and women are a vital part of their community, and so it continued on for about 40 years. But this year, the First Peoples Multicultural Advising Services decided that white students would need to leave in order to provide a safe space for this to happen. Enter biology professor Brett Weinstein, who, back in March, sent an email to the event's organizers stating, "There is a huge difference between a group or coalition deciding to voluntarily absent themselves from a shared space in order to highlight their vital and underappreciated roles, and a group or coalition encouraging another group to go away. The first is a forceful call to consciousness, which is, of course, crippling to the logic of oppression. The second is a show of force and an act of oppression in and of itself. You may take this letter as a formal protest of this year's structure, and you may assume I will be on campus on the day of absence. On a college campus, one's right to speak or to be must never be based on skin color." He then offered to hold a diversity event himself that would discuss race through a scientific lens because, bio teacher? Now all of that is only inciting incident number 1. A trip over to Evergreen student newspaper, the Cooper Point Journal, brings us to a recent report of racism allegations stemming from a Facebook argument because Facebook is totally worth starting a race war. One student, Jamil last name unknown, started up a call to action to get one particular class a majority black-brown class. Another student, Kai Ave, who is also a person of color, argued that such a call was reverse racism and reposted the call to action, replacing black and brown with white to prove his point. It resulted in 4 days of heated debate that culminated in a physical confrontation on Sunday, May 14th. Said confrontation, of which there are strange and varying witness accounts, made Kai Ave call campus police, who took in Jamil, the Facebook poster, and Tamiko, the confronter, in for questioning. Stacey Brown, who is Evergreen's chief of police, defended police actions, saying that they were only trying to ensure everyone's safety and that they had determined no crime had taken place, making everything A-OK. Meanwhile, in supposed A-OK land, Tamiko alleged that he wasn't allowed to use the bathroom during the 3 hours of questioning. If true, that is genuinely messed up and a huge power trip on the part of campus police. Monday evening, May 15th, about 100 students gathered in the library to discuss the police's actions, and the gathering turned into general protesting around treatment of people of color. The group then hoofed it over to the campus activities building to disrupt a question forum for candidates for school administration. All of that was incident 2. Now fast forward to May 23rd when students get a hold of Brett Weinstein's email. Cue angry mob of students cornering Weinstein in a hallway, not allowing him to leave, and screaming obscenities at him, all while documenting it for social media.
Listen.
Stop telling people of color they're fucking useless. You're useless. Get the fuck out.
The group of students called him names, accused him of being racist, and demanded his resignation.
Ho ho! Brett Weinstein got to go ahead! Ho ho! Brett Weinstein got to go ahead!
For his part, he encouraged students to have a conversation and attempted to explain his position and answer their questions. But in response, he was completely shut down.
We are not speaking
all about
on terms of white privilege. This is not a discussion. You have lost that one.
When Weinstein flat out told the mob that he wasn't resigning, they yelled and screeched autistically and marched off through the campus chanting for his resignation, and were soon met by campus police because you can't just have an angry mob and not expect people to notice. This apparently made students fear for their lives, so they decided to go occupy the library instead. They literally barricaded themselves in the library and decided that this was the perfect opportunity to start making some demands. Naturally. The president of the school, George Bridges, called a meeting for students and faculty, attempting to praise the students for their courage, but it didn't go very well.
That's how whiteness works. Whiteness is the most violent fucking system to ever breathe.
Why is it all these black women and femmes doing all this emotional labor in this space? These white-ass faculty members need to be holding him and all these people accountable. We don't need to be doing all things.
So then he called another, more private meeting. Well, that's actually only the official story. According to the campus newspaper, what really happened is that, quote, students escorted college administrators into President George Bridges' office where they were kept until they heard the group's concerns. Where they were kept. So like false imprisonment, maybe?
2, 4, 6, 8. This time you cannot escape. 2, 4, 6, 8. This time you cannot escape.
Among their demands were being excused from homework.
All of us are students and have homework and projects and things due. Have you sent an email out to our faculty letting them know? So they need to be told that these assignments won't be done on time.
Demanding he fire or suspend several staff members without pay, including Weinstein. Demanding Bridges pay for a potluck that includes gumbo.
You need to pay for a potluck.
Pay for a potluck anyway.
Yeah, okay, man. Okay, we want gumbo. We want gumbo.
A new department completely dedicated to diversity, along with its own affirmative action officer, mandatory sensitivity training, and police disarmament. Oh, they also decided on not allowing Bridges to use the bathroom alone, even though not being allowed to urinate was one of the things that started this whole thing to begin with. In one video of the incident, Bridges tries to explain to the students that he has claustrophobia.
I have claustrophobia. Oh, okay.
And one woman compares it to racism, explaining that he has to be uncomfortable because they're uncomfortable every day.
Have to work in threatening environments every day.
Come on, baby.
Welcome. Get to work.
Ironically, protesters have a new list of demands, which includes getting rid of that video because it was, quote, stolen by white supremacists and edited to expose and ridicule these staff and students. Number one, no, you made yourselves look bad. And number two, the internet is forever. That video is not going away. Despite this, they have supposedly been in communication with the Attorney General and want a full investigation and want to press charges. The angry mob wants to press charges. Students also crashed a faculty and family meeting that was meant to honor certain professors nominated for emeritus status. And then the students go to the front of the room of what is basically a retirement party and yell at the faculty and their families for eating cake rather than holding themselves up in the library with the occupiers. Seriously. Things actually got so out of hand that police have asked Weinstein to leave campus, telling him that they couldn't keep him safe. He is now teaching his bio classes in a local public park. It has become a full-on witch hunt, with protesters trying to hunt down Weinstein and his students. And in case you were wondering, the guy isn't even a conservative. He voted for Bernie. Students have also been targeting other teachers, surrounding them in corners and hallways and yelling at them because that's clearly what is going to get the job done.
Ho ho! These racist teachers have got to go! Hey hey! Ho ho! These racist teachers have got to go! Hey hey!
But one of their biggest grievances is that, quote, black trans disabled students are actively being sought out and confronted by campus police constantly. Wait, what? Oh, did I not mention that Jamil, way back from the beginning of the video, is trans? Yeah, his online harassment of another student of color caused him to be targeted by police and harassed constantly. I mean, there might be other students at the school that this applies to, but the school only boasts about 200 black students, and if we follow general statistics of trans people taking up about 0.5% of the population, I doubt that there are enough black trans disabled students specifically for this to be a systemic problem. Students promised to occupy Bridges' office and the library until their demands were met, so of course he conceded and promised them a potluck, no homework, a full-time affirmative action officer, and to build a new equity center, with the only caveats being that he wasn't firing anyone and wasn't disarming the police, but he would investigate them, which could possibly lead to firing. And remember Kai Ave Duvia, who made the counter Facebook post? The protesters have been holding rallies on how to silence him and have chased some of his friends not even off campus, but out of the city entirely. Campus police have been told to stand down despite the fact that photos of Weinstein's students have been circulating online with threats of physical violence and doxing. Protesters have also been stopping cars heading to campus demanding information about the occupants. And now, due to some unnamed serious direct threat that no one has any information on, the school has been evacuated and shut down for 2 days. And according to campus reform, on Thursday, state lawmakers introduced plans to privatize the college and withdraw $24 million in state funding. In the midst of all these shenanigans, one of the students was quoted as saying that change is loud and messy, and that can be absolutely true. But positive change doesn't come from attempting to silence others or rallying people to your cause by harassing them until they don't have a choice. Angry mobs may get things done, but an angry mob is nothing more than a gang. Using force and censorship makes you no better than the other guys. I don't care if you're black, white, brown, whatever. If you're at a school where you feel so unsafe and oppressed that you need to barricade yourself in a library, start filling out transfer paperwork and get out of there. If all students of color just decided to leave the school en masse, that would probably do a lot more than yelling at people and accusing them of being white asses. Just saying. That's your Liberty-related news for the week. As always, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, upvote, whatever, like me on Facebook and Twitter. And if you really like my videos and want to help support my channel, you can also help me by supporting me over on Patreon. Until next week, thanks for watching and helping me to spread the message of liberty.